He looks like he wasn't breathing and he was starting to turn blue. I really genuinely thought our son was dead. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So if you're an old school Ashley Plus 3 viewer, you've seen this location before. I am back in my spot on the couch. So as you can tell by the title of this video, is going to be a little bit of a different video for me. It's like a story time video about something that happened to me that was horrifying when William was a baby. So William is my oldest child. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I have a 5-year-old, I have a 3-year-old, I have a 6-month-old. So this is something that happened with William, who was 7 months at the time, and I figured I don't think I've ever shared this story on my channel ever before. I don't think so, which is weird because I usually share everything. Me and my husband, we were dating at the time. We were not married yet, although we had already had a child. So, I mean, I feel like we were married already. We were still living in LA. We were living in a rented house and we were moving out to move back in with my grandparents because we were having some issues financially and wanted to save some money. My grandma was sick at that time, or beginning to get sick, I believe. I did not have a full-time job yet. I was about to get my nursing license. So this time in our lives was kind of a difficult time. So we were moving out of a house that we were renting because we couldn't afford it anymore, basically. I was super stressed out. I was trying to pack everything by myself because I didn't have any help. My mom was working. Alex was working full-time Monday through Friday at that time, and we had to get out of this house, I think on like a Wednesday. It was like a really horrible move. I was watching William by myself. My mother-in-law was in Mexico, I believe, at the time because we were living with her as well. And so we were moving out all of her stuff as well, so it was really like stressful. So I was packing up stuff in our room, and I had William was a baby. Obviously he was 7 months old, and he was laying on our bed just playing with some baby toys that he had. I actually had been cleaning out the closet, and I took out a bunch of stuff that we had gotten at his baby shower, and there was this one toy in particular that was a little elephant toy. It was a brand new toy that he had never played with. It was like a plushed toy. I was busy organizing boxes. I was standing right next to him. Like, he was on the bed, I was right next to him. My back was to him, but I was obviously like turning around like to see what he was doing. This is like bringing back crazy memories. I haven't even talked about this story in so long. Anyway, so I was packing up stuff and he was playing with this elephant, this stuffed elephant. And when I gave him the elephant, I just pulled it out of like a bag of stuff that I had. Like I realized I had some clothes that I hadn't even put on him yet. So when I handed him this toy, I didn't realize that it had the tag still on it. He was that age where he was barely starting to play with toys. I was a new mom. I was not thinking of the worst like I do now. So it had a tag. I remember specifically what it looked like because this is like ingrained in my memory. It was a Circo brand, like, you know, the Target brand. It was a green cardboard round tag. So he was playing with the toy, and I guess he was chewing on this tag, and I did not realize it. I wasn't paying close enough attention because I was stressed out and just trying to pack as fast as we could. We had to get out that night. And so I turned around to check on him, and he had this look on his face like horror. He looks like he wasn't breathing, and he was starting to turn red. And I freaked out, of course. My phone was on the dresser, so I grabbed him, I flipped him over. I realized he was choking, but I couldn't figure out what he was choking on because in my mind, like, I just couldn't even imagine, like, what the heck did he get? Like, I didn't get it at the time. I was just freaking out because my baby was choking. And so I was hitting him on his back because I remembered, like, that's what you're supposed to do. But I was so hysterical, like, I just lost it. Like, I just couldn't even, like, I was shaking and I was a mess. So I flipped him over and I was giving him like back blows, and I flipped him back over and he was still choking and he was starting to turn blue. And then I called 911 with my right hand, and I put it on my face, and I was holding him like this, and I stuck my finger in his mouth, and I couldn't get it the first time, and I was freaking out. And then the 911 lady answered, and I was like, my baby is choking, he's not breathing, he's turning blue, send someone. And I said our address really quickly as I was trying to get this thing out of his mouth because I could see the thing in his mouth. It was bright green, like I said. So I stuck my finger again the second time, and the second time I just went for it. I just went as deep as I could, and I knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh my god, I could have shoved it further into his trachea. Like, oh my god, it just gives me anxiety thinking about it right now. So I just pulled this thing out, and I pulled it out completely. It's kind of disintegrated, and he started breathing again, and I just like lost it. Like I was like, oh my God. And he was crying, but he was crying and he was breathing and his color was returning to him. I didn't even mention that I was running at the same time as I was doing all this. As I was hitting him on his back and like trying to figure out how to get this thing out of his mouth and calling 911 with my right hand, I was also running out the door because I was thinking if there's someone outside, maybe they can help me, because I just was so hysterical. So I ran out into the front yard and I just like kind of collapsed with him, and he was screaming, crying, but he was fine, like kind of in shock. Yeah, I got the thing out of his throat and it was a freaking nightmare. It was literally like your worst fear as a parent is something happening to your child, and it was just happening right in front of me. And I was hysterical. I was a horrible mess. Long story short, I got the tag out of his throat. Literally within less than 2 minutes of this happening, the firefighters came and they jumped out of the car and they were like, is he okay? Is he breathing? When I stuck my finger in his throat to get the tag out, I had scratched the back of his throat, so he was bleeding inside of his mouth. And so they decided that we had to go in the ambulance. They obviously checked him out, make sure he was breathing. He was breathing fine. He was fine other than this little scratch in his throat. My husband was working at the hospital that was the hospital they were going to take him to, and I called him hysterically, and to this day Alex is like, I can't believe you called me like that. I really genuinely thought our son was dead, because I called him and I was like, William choked, and I was hysterical and I could barely even talk, and he was just like, what happened? Is he okay? And I like couldn't get it out for like a good like 10 seconds, and I was like, yes, he's fine. And he was like, oh my God, like what a nightmare. And I was like, well, we're going to the hospital, like we're going in the ambulance right now, like I'll see you when we get there, because he was working literally in the hospital we were going to. And so he met us there, and the people in the ambulance were so nice. I had no shoes on, like I was in house clothes, obviously, like you guys have seen me in my house clothes. So I just looked a mess. I think I left my front door open. I know I didn't lock it for sure. It was a nightmare. It was literally the worst thing to ever happen to me in my entire life to that point. Like, we obviously had worse happen when Aaron got sick. Like, that was a freaking nightmare, but anything to happen to your child. But I'm so thankful that he ended up being okay. And I'm thankful that this happened, because I honestly became the parent that I am today because of this thing happening. Because when you're a new parent, I think you're paranoid, but I don't think you think of everything. And after that, I just started thinking of literally everything. Like to a point that I was like kind of paranoid, and me and Alex really were really paranoid people after this happened for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's the story. William choked when he was 7 months old, and then we had to go to the hospital, and we actually stayed in the hospital for 2 days for observation, because the piece of cardboard that I pulled out was actually like a little bit disintegrated. I think he probably ate a piece off before he had inhaled it. But anyway, they thought that he could have inhaled a piece of it because they couldn't find that piece, and I couldn't find the piece in my house. So they wanted to keep him for observation, so we had to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks, which was, I mean 2 weeks, 2 days, which was horrible. But yeah, I thought I would share that story with you guys, because I don't think I've ever mentioned that story before, and it's kind of interesting. Now that I have 3 kids, I'm definitely obsessive. I don't buy any toys that are small. I don't do baby-led weaning. I think it's good. I think baby-led weaning is great. It makes great eaters, but I can't handle it. Like, I know babies choke and they're not choking, they're just gagging, but I can't handle it. That's that story. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of a dramatic one. Honestly, if I would have told this story up till a year afterward, I would cry when I would tell this story, because it was the worst experience of my life. But now I feel like I have gotten such thick skin as a mom. You go through so much with your kids, and yeah, I'm very thankful that I was able to get that thing out of his throat. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little emotional or dramatic. I will be back to my vlogging self tomorrow. If you're not subscribed, subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video from me. I upload on Monday through Friday, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.